The racist banking system of South Africa has made its wealth from sucking the lifeblood of black South Africans. It's the same racist banking system that funded the apartheid government. It was the same racist banking system owned by the Ruperts and Oppenheimers that funded the manufacture of jail cells, the production of tear gas, bullets. It paid the soldiers and police and secret units that murdered thousands of black South Africans and over 600,000 Africans to protect apartheid. These banks are essentially the funders of the crime against humanity of apartheid. And before the dawn of independence, these banks took control of millions of acres of land, trillions of dollars of resources, and gave loans to white South Africans so that they could buy shares, to privatize parastatals that were funded by black slavery and the exploitation of black South Africans. They funded the purchase of vast amounts of assets that were stolen by the illegitimate apartheid government from black South Africans. And they transferred this wealth into the hands of a few white South Africans and international capitalists instead of returning it to its rightful owners. And all this was done to ensure that apartheid continues through economic deprivation of black South Africans. According to Stephen Goodson, just before the end of apartheid, the Reserve Bank of South Africa, which is controlled by the big four banks of South Africa, sold over $230 billion of South African gold to Swiss, US, and UK banks. And then the money was stashed away for the benefit of Western capitalists together with the Broederbond so that it can control South Africa under a broke black government because of this theft. Till today, these racist banks deny black South Africans business loans, housing finance, control of assets, or loans to buy shares on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Yet all these banks are funded by the pensions of black South Africans that are sitting in PIC. These very same banks ensured that South Africa is registered as an incorporation on the New York Stock Exchange so that they can borrow from international banks by mortgaging South African resources, which benefit white South Africans and deprive black South Africans whose taxes will pay for these loans. The Registrar of Banks of the Reserve Bank, in conjunction with the very same four monopoly banks, collude to deny black South Africans license to operate commercial banks or mercantile banks in South Africa in contravention of global antitrust laws. Not so long ago, these banks colluded to sabotage the rand and to erode the savings of black South Africans and their parents to keep black South Africans subjugated. The South African public, South African politicians have done nothing about this monopoly. But ZASM, Zimbabwe Anti-Sanctions Movement, is taking these banks to the High Court of South Africa for illegally implementing sanctions upon the Zimbabwean people. These banks have decided to also try and perpetuate a crime against humanity upon the Zimbabwean people by instituting sanctions that the UN said were illegal. And for that reason, as Zimbabweans anti-sanctions movement, we are taking them to court to ensure that they can no longer continue to perpetuate these crimes against humanity. For 22 years, they've perpetuated these crimes against humanity as the Banking Association of South Africa and the Reserve Bank of South Africa with their monopoly banks. But we are taking action. And we as young Zimbabweans are saying to South Africans, join us in this action to start creating precedents against these, the funders of imperialism, colonialism, and apartheid upon our continent and countries. We invite South Africans who are tired of this criminal cabal to join us as friends of the courts to create precedents and case law that will begin to bring restitution upon the people of Africa. We will demand reparations from these banks. We will demand that these banks pay for their crimes against humanity upon the Zimbabwean people, South African people, SADC people, and Africans in general as they try to maintain apartheid. Zimbabwe versus the banks of South Africa. ZASM versus South African and American racist banks imposing sanctions on Zimbabweans.